Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Taking the Lead. You know, I'm Ken Jacobs of Jacobs Consulting and Executive Coaching. And unless this is your first time, you also know that on Taking the Lead, I get to interview executives, leaders, mostly from the PR, comms, marketing, advertising space, but we don't talk too much about those things. We talk mostly about, and I think you're here because you want to build your leadership wisdom. What do you lead, inspire people, and do it effectively? So I'm grateful for the opportunity to introduce to you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. David Barkoe. He's the CEO of Carve Communications out of Miami. Depending on when you're watching this, you probably wish you were in Miami enjoying the better weather and sunshine. He was co-founder and partner at Carve, and previously also in Miami, account director at the Max Borges agency. We met through PRSA Counselors Academy, and I'm just delighted to welcome to Taking the Lead, David Barkoe. Welcome.
Thank you, Ken. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for the friendship and communication and connection over the past. We won't age ourselves, 5 or 6 years, whatever
Oh,
it's
that,
been.
that's nothing. That's nothing. All right.
Nothing.
So let's dig right in. While many are predicting a better 24 than 23, knock wood on that, for the PR agency industry and the comms industry in general, it's still feeling a bit touch and go. There have recently been some tech layoffs and a whole bunch of media layoffs. So, what's your counsel on how to successfully lead a team during a time that, seems to be better, but might be a little uncertain?
For me, Ken, and I agree with that. I do think it will be a better 24, than it was in 23. I think we're seeing a bit of it already here at Carve. Um, Unfortunately, I think it starts before the trying times, right? And that's what a lot of people don't think about, right? During the good times, which is, I apologize for being a bit counterintuitive to the question, right? But that's the reality, right? When it gets bad, is everybody in the same boat, right? Rowing in the same direction, rowing at the same speed. That's a motto and a theme we have here at Carve. Um, because those who want to be in the boat, right, stand out, right? And they're still rowing in the same direction, which helps turn around the bad quicker, right? So it's really about having everybody in the same direction and making sure of that, not micromanaging, not overdoing it, right? But just making sure that everybody's in the same boat and rowing in the same direction. And look, there's going to be bad times in the future, right? Here we are in 23, 24. Who knows what's going to happen in 27, 28, 30, right? We saw this a few years ago, right?
Hmm?
It is up and down. So I think it's all about preparing ahead of time so that the bad, sure, there's going to be bad, but if you're prepared ahead of time and your team is on board and believing and driving everything forward during the good, it's going to be easier to do that during the bad.
I agree. I mean, and well, let's talk about PR a little bit. It is a little bit like an organization needing to build the foundation, build the relationship with the local community, with the media, with influencers, whatever, during those good times, so that hopefully they will stick with you and be kinder when things change. And at the same time, I think leading through challenging times or uncertain times, that's the test of a great leader. Leading during good
Absolutely.
times a little bit easier. Leading during the tough times, and I love that expression of turning around and seeing followers behind you, seeing people in the boat, as you say, is so important. And I think it's so important to leaders turn around every once in a while. What are you seeing? What are you
Absolutely.
seeing? Right. And I think in an era of employee disengagement, it's really important to turn around more frequently. And if they're not engaged, okay, you're the leader. What are you going to do about it?
And it's also separating that just simple engagement with the company, with your brand, from the actual work that's being done day to day, right? Because those are two completely different things. Yes, everybody needs to be doing their work and completing the tasks and delivering for the clients and the partners, et cetera. But are they also delivering
Yeah.
for your company, for your brand, whatever your agency name is, in terms of their simple engagement on your weekly stand-up call? Do they look engaged or do they look
Mhm.
bored, right? Are they participating in a Zoom happy hour if you're distant, or are they showing up to the real live happy hour? right? If you're back to the office. So there's two different types of really determining that engagement and whether everybody's on board and what you see behind you.
And it is so important to do that. So, what can agency owners and leaders of corp comms and other communication groups, departments do to improve motivation, morale, culture during trying times or even potentially uncertain times?
Yeah, my full belief, and you could do 23 interviews with the rest of my team will tell you, it's about listening, it's about engaging, opening your door, making them feel empowered to help the whole company push through as much as themselves, right? Give them more control, not less, right? I believe if things are going bad, I shouldn't be jumping into everything and trying to fix it myself, right? Don't do a 180, don't do a 360 of what you've been doing during the good times, right? That micromanagement that tends to take over. Oh my God, we're losing this or losing that. Stop and look at why versus trying to control it all. That just turns people off. Everybody wants to be empowered. Everybody wants to be enabled. Give them a seat at the solution table. They might not have a seat at the business table, right? Of making decisions of cutting, not cutting, adding cost, salary, those kind of decision making. But if you're giving them a seat at the solution table, right? What do we need to change? I tell my team, everybody on my team has known this since the day they start working a car. If you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have something we can change, something we can fix, something to limit, doesn't matter what it is, bring it to me. You will be listened to. It'll be evaluated. We'll make a decision. We're going to choose some of it, none of it, all of it, but we're going to explain to you why. And you're going to be listened to and heard to. And that's both in great times as we've grown, as well as tougher times as we stagnated here for a few months, but looking on growth again. And it doesn't matter if they're the intern getting paid hourly or that's the middle person, the VP, doesn't matter who it is, all the way up and down. We're going to, not just me, but you should, anybody watching, listening, give everybody a seat at that solution table. Hear because sometimes it might be something big, sometimes it might be something small, but most of the time I don't have those answers because I'm not doing the work every day, right? They're the ones out there seeing it, hearing it, listening to it, engaging it, activating it. So give everybody a seat at that solution table.
So, kudos to you for the open door. Kudos to you for not just having an open door, because some leaders say they have an open door, but people walk in and they're really not listened to. They're not, you've got to be present with your people. And I think one phrase I encourage, I talk to leaders about, well, what if they bring me ideas and I just don't think it's right? I'm like, that's okay. Your response is important and will affect how often they come to you. And so what you say, thank you for bringing me that idea. We're not running with it this time. Here's where we're going to go, and I need you in the boat with me on this initiative or agenda, whatever it may be. But keep coming in because next time we may just implement your idea. And I
100%.
think that's how you get that. And I have to comment on another kudos to the no micromanagement. It proven conclusively to not work. It's proven conclusively to lead to disengagement because the idea is you can't do it. Only I can do it. Times are I can do. We've fallen behind. Only I can do it. Um, who wants to work for someone like that? Who wants to try? And people stop by. You're so smart. Go ahead, do it yourself. And then what happens to your leadership legacy, right? No one says, "Oh, they were man, they were such a good micromanager." I think good and micromanagement, they're mutually exclusive. It's tempting, it's understandable to say, "This is what I want to do," but then I think you stop as a leader, say, "But what's the long-term play here?" So I think.
Absolutely. And it's also, as you grow as a leader, I'm an owner, but you might be a senior account executive who moved up to an account director who's moved up positions. You now have people working for you and with you, right? And you give up those responsibilities, right? What you do as an SAE is not the same thing you do as an SAD. What I do as CEO and owner is not the same thing I was doing as a VP, and not even as a VP, as I was doing 6 years ago as
Mhm.
an owner. And so remembering, and this is a challenge I have, and I'm sure there's others out there that have it, is am I not doing enough? Shouldn't I be doing that? And reminding myself, no, you shouldn't. That's why you have a team. That's why you pay people. Or if you're not an owner and you are that SAD or that VP level in an agency or in-house, it's no, that's why I've That's why I've lobbied for budget to hire 3 people under me, or we've added
Right.
people,
That's
is to
right.
do that work. So there's a difference there, but it's important to remember no matter the role you have, there's people there to do that work.
Well, and I think part of it is, letting go of the only I can do it or I can do it or I've done it, all those things. But as you rise, from learner, practitioner, where'd that word
Yeah.
come from? Practitioner, manager, leader, to encourage yourself to say, in this moment, if I were a leader, what would I do? If I were a coach, what would I do? You know what you do as a practitioner. You might even know what you do as a manager, but what are you going to do as a leader and coach? We're going to revisit that towards the end of our segment. How do you
Sure.
drive culture among remote or partially remote teams?
It's a fantastic question. We are a fully remote team. We gave up our
Oh,
office in the early midst of the COVID. We had an office in Miami, and now I have people based around the country. So we are completely remote with no office. For me, I've literally done nothing to drive the culture other than give the team the keys.
nice.
I have never said, and this is going on 4 years now, right? We're almost at March. It's going to be 4 years, which is hard to believe for all of us. I've never said it has to be X or it has to be Y or it has to be Z or we're going to do it this way. I've asked the team from when we were 9 people to now we're 23 people, what do you want? What is going to make you happy in this virtual world? I say this a lot. I do not know what a 26-year-old living in an apartment in New York City wants. I don't know what somebody who's 24 who's living in their parents' attic, right, somewhere wants in order to create culture. It's much different than 4.5, 5 years ago, we were all in office and we could all do things together. So I've done none of it. I gave the team the keys to the culture train long ago, and it's worked out tremendously. And all they do is ask, can we do this? Yes. Can we do this? Yes. We want to invest in this, whether it's $50 or $500 or $5,000. Yes, we can, because I know that that's what's going to create the virtual culture that I cannot and we cannot and won't be able to give them to in person. That's just the way the business is run. And I think it's worked fantastically. I've seen people on my team, excuse me, step up to want to help create the culture. Does it mean something to them versus appointing someone to be culture person, right? I've never done that. We've known people, we've kind of suggested it because some
Yeah.
people have, they have it or they don't, right? But it's really not been, I've really driven none of it. And the culture has worked going back to what I said before about same boat, same direction, same speed. That's part of the culture. And the team has really driven that for each other.
Mm, awesome. So smart. And any small agency owners out there watching, this is how you go from 4 to 5 to 9 to 23 in a relatively short period of time. That's how you do it. So, who are the 2 or 3 leaders who've most inspired you on your journey, and why? What'd you learn from them?
Sure, I've got four, but I'll be quick. And some of
Okay.
them you know, so this is going to be a rundown memory lane. Ken, one, her name was Brittany Ellenbogen, or is Brittany Ellenbogen.
I
She was
know
my,
Britton
you know, Brittany.
Ellenbogen. I know
Brittany
Britton
was an
Ellenbogen.
SAE she was an SAE when I started at GCI in 1998,
Oh my
1999.
goodness.
She was a senior account executive, but she taught me very early on about a love for PR. She had a Rolodex that was stuffed, right, and taught me what it meant to love PR, and do it back how it was back then, and certainly what it means now. Another one is Harrison Wise, who I know you know very, very well. He and I worked together at Trilon Communications, and
I didn't realize
Harrison,
that. I
yes,
didn't
we
know
worked
that.
at, which is in 1990, starting in 99, I think it was, sometime in 99. I mean, for me and Harrison, and I just spoke to him yesterday. When he started Wise PR and started his own agency, I looked to him. I didn't do this. He was well into Wise PR until I did this, but I watched, right? And I marveled and I kind of said, how did he can do this? I can do this. I asked questions. We met. So he was kind of the silver star on the hill that I kind of watched. Another one, certainly Aaron Quitkin, who I know you know Aaron Quitkin from Quitco. He and I worked together at GCI Group, and obviously what he built with Quitco and now what he's doing with Profit, and within the Stagwell Group as someone to look towards. And another one who you don't know, who happened to be my boss when I was in-house at a company called Net Biscuits. It was my only in-house job in my career as a German mobile software company. His name is Craig Besnoy. He was our managing director for the US, and just his leadership, the culture he created within the office. We were, 6 or 7 people in New York working for a company of 100 people in Germany. And just his style. He also happened to be the GM, the head of all new business development. He's also an attorney and a certified accountant all at the same time. So just everything that he was, and he a personal kind of mentor and helper to me, is just somebody that I always look up to. I'm gonna send him this link when we're done so he knows that I talk about it.
Nice,
But
nice.
those are the 4 folks that I've kind of marked in my career. There's others, of course, right? But those are the 4 folks that have made an impact on me throughout my 25 plus years in this.
So one thing I'm aware of Aaron. I think he's aware of me, but I don't know that we've ever met in per I sat behind him once at a PRSA New York Big Apple thing.
Yeah,
So Aaron, if you're watching, and I hope you are, I think I'm getting an idea for a guest we want to invite. So, I'm just gonna the universe has spoken, Aaron.
I'll be sure to tag him on LinkedIn for you,
Oh,
Ken.
we will. We will.
I'll
Absolutely.
do it as well.
Good. Awesome. Okay. Last question. When did you know you had made the jump, along this career path that we mentioned a little while ago? PR expert to agency manager to I am a leader.
My in-house role at that company, Net Biscuits, I mentioned. I'd worked for agencies, I'd worked for myself, a little bit of freelance during the bust of '08, right? And then I took this in-house job because I had a baby, I needed a real job. And during that time, I went from being an agency person to managing and driving a sales, a sales team. The sales team, I need this deck, I need this, I need the messaging, I need that. And they turned to me and it was successful. And that's when, okay, I'm a leader, right? And at the same time, once I left that and worked at Max Borges' agency, and maybe he'll watch this, maybe he won't. At that role, I was put in a box, right? Going from in-house back to the agency world. At that role, I got put in a box which I did not like, and tried to bust out of that box to be a leader at the agency, but was put back in the box. And
Mm,
that's when I knew I was ready to do this. When I did it freelance prior during the '08 bust, I had a couple projects here and there, but I wasn't ready to commit to building the business, right? To really building a business. And it wasn't until that point when I went in-house, went to that additional agency job, and by necessity was ready to be a leader and drive a business forward and now grow it to this point.
I love that idea that like when you know you're ready to lead, nothing else is satisfying. Nothing
Yes.
else, you really, you can't go home again in that way. That once you've known this is what I'm meant to do, even in I don't know, I did you say '08 was a bust or a frost? Because I thought I
Like with the downturn of
oh
'07,
I oh God, yeah, we
yeah, the
remember.
downturn of '07 and '08 when
Yeah,
kind of, what we're seeing a little bit now. That downturn of '08 was when I did some freelance work, was out on my own,
yeah,
successful,
of course.
but I wasn't ready to turn it into a real live agency at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
What I needed, and it was fun. But then once in-house, we're then going back to another agency, and then now this. And it's also when you might think it, but what I also realize is when other people start to tell you, you were
Mhm.
meant for this. You were meant to be a leader, because then it's not just you believing it, it's, oh, okay,
Right.
you think this, you see this.
And the thing is, you could be on the organizational chart, etc., but people can still choose to follow you or not, regardless of your title or chart,
100%.
where the nice office is, big salary that they exaggerate and think you're making. But they do have the choice to either do the work or truly follow you. And so I always say leadership is a two-part choice: your conscious decision to lead, which you clearly made, and their conscious decision to follow. And, once you're there, it is so satisfying.
It
Anyway,
is.
this
It
has,
is.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, and the last thing I'll just say is it is satisfying, but I think the most important thing for leaders to remember, and I learned this the very, very hard way, is that you're going to make mistakes. And leadership is not finite, it's not perfect,
Right,
and
right.
mistakes will happen, but you still have to believe in your leadership, and put that towards your team of however many people it is. It's a really important thing to remember.
Absolutely. You have shared so many leadership insights in this brief segment, so much wisdom. We're very appreciative. If our viewers want to get in touch, how do they find you?
The easiest way is Carve Comms, COMMS carve.com. That's our website. You can find me on LinkedIn. I do dabble in Twitter, now known as X as well. But you can contact us through the website. That's probably the easiest way.
Great. Thank you so much, David Barkoe. And to our viewers, I would love to hear comments from you on what you got out of this segment. And if you want to reach out to me to discuss leadership, to discuss these topics, best way, KEN at JACOBSCOMM.com, or find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Ken Jacobs with a lot of initials after my name. There are a lot of Ken Jacobs on there, but Ken Jacobs, comma, uh, PCC. That's where you'll find me. David, thank you again. I hope to see you soon. Let's definitely stay in touch. For everyone else, please keep on taking the lead.